Basetrack Live is a multimedia theater production documenting the experiences of a Marine in Afghanistan, his wife, and his return from war. The production is inspired by photographs, video, and interviews done by photojournalists and filmmakers embedded with the 1st Battalion, 8th Marines. Seth Bockley, a performer and playwright in residence at Chicago's Goodman Theater, co-adapted and directed Basetrack Live. Bockley speaks with Christie about his hope that the raw, unedited approach to presenting the story will spark communication among war veterans, military families, and members of their communities.
Can you give us a background of how the Marine and his family, who are central to this story, and the creative team involved with it came together?
Basetrack Live is inspired by the profound photographs that were taken by that team of photojournalists in 2010. But we really began our work with the photographs as raw material. It wasn't actually a show that we started working on while they were there. It was a show that began with Ed Billows, the composer and media artist from Juilliard School in New York City, saw a collection of photography from the original Basetrack project and was moved by them and decided to make a music and video-based piece, and started working with the photographs and video from Afghanistan as the source for an original work with music and multimedia. And that was the first draft of Basetrack Live. So we started with the photographs, and it all grew from there. Over the time that Ed Billows worked on that initial project, Amy, the producer from En Garde Arts, got to know his work and decided that they would work together to expand it to become a full theater production, and that's when I got involved. What we did was we took a team of journalists and videographers around the country to interview guys who were in the 1/8 in that deployment, and follow up with them in the couple of years since they were deployed, and follow up with them about how their experience was continuing stateside. Started to look at the sort of the coming home theme, and also talk to them about their deployment during the time that the journalists were overseas.
How did the compilation of material emerge into becoming a documentary theater piece?
Yeah, so we worked with an adapter named Jason Grote, who's a playwright based in LA, and he actually conducted a number of the interviews himself with a number of the service members, Marines, and then their families from 1/8. And what we did is we accumulated an enormous amount of text, which is all this incredible raw storytelling of these Marines and their family members. And then what we did was we sifted through it and picked a single story to kind of anchor the production. So what we have now is that this huge, amazing universe of video and photography and music is all surrounded and a core, which is the story of a single Marine named AJ. And this is a real guy whose story we got, who was a wonderful interview and who gave us a sort of really robust, big story of all the way from joining the Marines to meeting his wife, to being deployed, to coming home and having to deal with some of the readjustment issues that so many soldiers and Marines have to deal with. And so we found AJ's story and his wife, Melissa. And what we did was we've actually structured the whole performance around two actors who play AJ and Melissa. And they use verbatim text, all text, interviews with the real people. And the whole, video and music goes in and out of their story, but also by telling their story. And so we surround them with faces and voices of other people to show that their story is at the heart of our theater piece, but it's only sort of a single slice of a much broader experience.
Can you explain a little more about how you are trying to relate to the audience, who may not have any idea of what the veterans sitting next to them or their neighbor down the street may be experiencing when they come home?
Yeah, I'm a real believer in on-the-ground, journalism as a way of just of getting into someone else's shoes, and hearing their voice directly rather than hearing a sort of editorial voice is such a much better way to understand another person's experience. The big impact I want this show to have on the audience is to understand that whether they come from a military background or whether they have military families or whether they have absolutely no experience with it, that there is something universal in this experience. There's something relatable in this experience, and we, just our, I guess, our understanding of humanity is enlarged, and it happens better, I think, when you hear directly from the voices of, and from a real Marine who the story is real. You're confronted with his humanity, and just the magic of theater is, to have a human being on stage going through emotions, and you really forced because you're there to experience them, and that almost, it just puts you right in their perspective. That's what theater does. And the actor playing AJ, interestingly enough, is also a Marine who served 2 tours in Iraq.
Wow.
And so the actor himself has some experience with these things, and I think that lends some additional authenticity to his performance, but also I think it represents what we're trying to do with this piece, which is really put these experiences in a spotlight that they don't often have in our media environment, where too often or very often we hear about war and the military from a kind of editorial perspective or a policy perspective, where we just see images and we don't really understand the experience of the on the ground people who are who are fighting and who are coming back and who are experiencing the consequences of the policies that are made.
Although Basetrack Live is a performance, are you saying what the audience sees and hears is the unedited voice of this real-life couple experiencing these events?
Yeah, we're doing our best to get out of the way of the story, which is something that documentary filmmakers do. We just try to find the story in the subject and not try to put our own editorial voice onto it,
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what we've done. I think you're absolutely right. We're just trying to let these voices, not only of AJ and Melissa, the other interview subjects you'll see in the show. There are other interviews that are on video that are interspersed with the actor's text. There's images of and actual interviews with other service members and family members. So absolutely, we're looking for that ground level experience that gives as complete a picture, as you can in 75 minutes of what it's like to go and what it's like to come home.
Experience Basetrack Live, October 29th, 2014, at Penn State's Eisenhower Auditorium. For tickets or information, visit cpa.psu.edu or phone 1-800-ARTS-TIX.